Tonight, inconsolable Wallaby star Carmichael Hunt arrested and charged with drug possession. Crime against fashion. Thieves make off with thousands of dollars worth of designer clothes. The race begins to nab the best spot for New Year's Eve. And a flat finish to the Boxing Day test.
This is NBN News with Kate Haberfield.
Good evening. A gang armed with sledgehammers has smashed its way into a Camilla and Mark boutique, escaping with a fortune in designer clothes. Experts say the brazen robbery is a warning to every retailer about the growing black market for luxury fashion.
Each rack neatly filled with exclusive designer fashion, but in the distance, three masked men are lurking. Just two swings of a sledgehammer and they smash their way into the Camilla and Mark outlet at Rosebery, each thief grabbing handfuls of clothes worth thousands of dollars. The raid lasted only a few minutes, but in that time, they managed to clear out the store, dumping the goods in a waiting car. Their only target is high-end women's clothes. The register remaining untouched throughout the Friday morning break and enter.
So if you even just valued at $200 to $1,000 each, they're up to around $500,000 that they could have got away with there.
It's not the first time a high-end Australian retailer has been the target of a major theft. The store of Captain designer Camilla Franks has been raided several times, and those in the industry believe the more exclusive the clothing, the more it's sought after by criminals.
I think there's a huge emerging underground black market, if you will, of these types of clothing because people can't readily access them.
After the robbery, the thieves have made a quick getaway in a white sedan. Anyone who is offered cheap Camilla and Mark clothing is being urged to contact police. Security experts believe the thieves had probably pre-sold the stock before even making the hit.
I would think that they've done a lot of work on this. They haven't just been driving around the street in a Mini expecting to fit that amount of stock in after they've stolen it. They've pre-planned this very carefully.
Where these clothes will end up will now form part of the investigation, more than likely overseas, interstate or online.
Retailers should understand what the black market is and where it is so they can do their own investigations if required.
Vicky Jardim, NBN News.
Wallaby star Carmichael Hunt is embroiled in a fresh drug scandal, charged with possessing cocaine. His arrest comes nearly 3 years after his first run-in with the law, when he promised to turn his life around.
It might feel a little like a replay for Carmichael Hunt.
That is a cracking shot from Carmichael Hunt.
The Queensland Reds player is charged with possession of drugs after police allegedly uncovered a white powder substance on him in Brisbane overnight. The code-hopping back is no stranger to cocaine controversy.
I don't have a perfect past, mate. That's all I can say on that.
Hunt was fined $30,000 in 2015 by rugby officials after the Crime and Corruption Commission uncovered a drug racket involving a number of Gold Coast Titans. Allowed to stay on at the Reds, he made this heartfelt confession.
They'd made a mistake that, is not too uncommon these days, and it doesn't make me a bad man for it, but obviously I'm disappointed in those decisions that I made back then.
The 31-year-old recently had his Australian representative contract renewed. Rugby Australia was notified of the allegations against one of its newest recruits this morning, saying it takes all matters relating to the off-field behaviour of its players seriously and has commenced an investigation into the incident in conjunction with the Queensland Rugby Union. Another man who was with Hunt is also facing charges. Police will allege that it was a small bag of cocaine found near Hunt and his friend just before 1 this morning as they stood in this car park in Brisbane's Party Precinct. Family and friends descended on his home where he lives with his wife and children. The house was in lockdown with windows closed and no answer at the gate. Very different from the open and honest pledge he made just 2 years ago.
Can't repay the faith overnight, but I look forward to, hopefully repaying the faith over, the next couple of years on the field and off the field.
Hunt is due to appear in court on January 29. Claire Hunter, 9 News.
With less than 30 hours to go until we ring in 2018, the finishing touches for Sydney's New Year's Eve party have been put in place across the city. Early bird partygoers have already started queuing, determined to secure the best view.
Hours before we count the seconds, visitors to Sydney are loving every minute of the build-up to New Year's Eve.
I'm from the Netherlands, and I have two things on my bucket list to do in Australia, actually. And one of them is...
As the finishing touches are put into place at Mrs Macquarie's chair, early bird partygoers started queuing, determined to secure the best seats for our big night.
You arrived here at 9 p.m. last night?
Yeah. In pole position, visiting from Taiwan, tarps and tents are this group's temporary home as they itch for the official live site to open up.
It's a long time to wait.
Yeah, we know, but I think it's worth it, because I think the firework is the best one in the world.
Along the snaking line, patient guests from across the globe.
37 hours, you're prepared to wait that long?
Yeah, well, this is one of the most beautiful fireworks in the world.
And with the influx of tourists comes an economic boom.
Of the 1.6 million people who'll be around the edge of the harbour tomorrow night, about 46% of them are likely to be international visitors.
170 million for Sydney's economy alone, with plenty more to come as more than 1 billion viewers tune in worldwide.
It's advertising you just can't buy.
But not all the fun will be had around the harbour. Thousands will gather at suburban live sites. Final preparations in full swing today at Parramatta Park. South at Brighton Le Sands, more than 70,000 are expected by the beach.
Botany Bay, it's the birthplace of Australia, and you can't be in a better spot than that.
3 barges will blast for a 15-minute family fireworks extravaganza from 9 p.m.
We've got every colour under the rainbow planned in this show, and it's going to be a cracker.
Portable toilets and crash barriers will move into place tomorrow, along with clearways right around the suburbs and throughout the CBD.
With surge pricing applying to Uber taxi services this year and extensive road closures, public transport really will be the way to get around.
An extra 1,000 trains will be running, while there'll be an additional 3,500 bus services. If you're planning to cross the harbour, ferries will stop at 8 p.m, with limited services resuming at 12:45. Party preparations all in place as we get set to say so long to 2017.
Meanwhile, in Newcastle, security is being strengthened for what's set to be one of the city's largest ever New Year's Eve displays. 400 kilograms of gunpowder will help set the sky alight on New Year's Eve. At 14 minutes long, it's going to be the biggest fireworks display Newcastle has ever put on. Nearly 50,000 people are expected to celebrate on the foreshore, police not taking any chances with malicious behaviour.
I want people to see a lot of police because that's important to have that visibility and hopefully jump on things if anything does arise very, very quickly.
The extended police presence will continue the following day, catching those who think they've slept off a big night.
It is amazing each and every year how many people we detect for drink driving on New Year's Day.
As for how to get into the city for the festivities, park and ride buses will be running from Broadmeadow, or if cycling is more your thing, a bike valet service is available at Lynch's Hub on the foreshore.
People can bring their bikes in and we'll check them in, give them a little ticket, just like you check a code at a club or something like that.
Lynch is also offering picnic hampers online. And if you're yet to pick a spot to ring in the new year watching fireworks, Harbour, Nelson's Bay, Maitland, Toronto Foreshore and Hunter Valley Gardens will all have 9 o'clock fireworks. Harrigan's Irish Pub in Pecolbin, the only place with a midnight display. George Marr, NBN News. Summer is generally an eventful time for marine rescue volunteers, but for one command it's been chaotic. The Port Stephens unit says it's experienced back-to-back missions, capping off its busiest year in more than a decade.
A day out on the water, Port Stephens providing an ideal backdrop for a popular holiday pastime.
With the growth in the economy and fuel, people are coming back and using their boats more.
But with that comes more chance for error.
Since Christmas Day, 11 rescues have been completed by the local unit, bringing the total number of missions in 2017 to 220.
Finishing a year where we'll be 20% higher than the year before and back to the levels of 2005. So it is very active.
Port Stephens Marine Rescue says boat maintenance has become its biggest issue. No fuel and electrical problems behind the majority of call-outs.
Where people have got their boats sitting all year round, comes Christmas, out they come having last year's fuel in it.
But it's the simple message on life jackets volunteers say is falling on deaf ears.
Now that they've got the life jackets in the boat, they're not wearing them. A life jacket's never spoiled a day on the water.
Talia Sav, NBN News. Tonight we take a look back at some of the bittersweet moments of 2017. There were people who inspired us and those who left us too soon.
From tackling new heights to capturing our hearts, 2017 was the year we celebrated and mourned the people who defined the hunter. In October, several Knights Greats cheated death while trekking to Everest Base Camp to raise money for the Mark Hughes Foundation.
Just started to get really heavy headaches, dizzy, disoriented, lost their way a little bit. Thankfully they had some oxygen there. Felt okay the next day. Got choppered out to hospital for a checkup, but for about a day or so it was a really weird feeling and as I said, quite physically stressful. I never felt alone or really in danger. I felt as if the boys had my back.
It was a dream almost 2 decades in the making. This month, Wendy Evans became the first severely disabled person to sail solo around Lake Macquarie. Robert Manning is defying expectations. After taking up karate almost 15 years ago following a brain injury, he received his black belt in November. But the hunter also suffered great heartbreak this year. We said goodbye to 2 of the region's sporting legends. Former Test cricketer Robert Dutchie Holland lost his battle with brain cancer in September and was given a fitting farewell. Australian tennis ace Peter Doohan passed away at the age of 56 after battling motor neuron disease.
There wasn't a time where when he came into the room, he didn't lift our spirits in the Davis Cup. In training, a locker room, Peter was one of the good guys.
The Novocastrian famously took down 2-time Wimbledon champion Boris Becker in 1987. In July, 15-year-old Hannah Rye captured hearts across the nation. The terminally ill schoolgirl attending her formal with her knight in shining armour, Trent Hodkinson.
She brought a smile to my face last night. She was so strong.
A month later, the brave hunter teenager passed away. Her final wish to be farewelled with a special motorbike convoy. While NBN News also lost a dear friend and long-time member of the family, veteran cameraman Michael Rourke passed away following a brave battle with cancer. Meredith Gibbs, NBN News.